welcome back. This is part 20 of our Galactic history. I'm Lance White, and I'm with Andrew Bartzis.
How you doing?
Well, we have gotten up to the 7th and 8th pyramid fortification and the second fall of Atlantis.
Second fall of Atlantis, when they truly realized the direness of the circumstances.
And then they create the control rooms to
lock out everyone.
Right.
So that they would only be a unity consciousness creation of the control room. So it locked out the weapon systems, the defensive systems, and the remote attack systems that were created by Lemurian Atlanteus hybrid technology.
Okay. So then that brings us to the 9th.
The 9th is the final fall of Atlantis, and
Okay.
the final spiritual invasion, mass investment of light forces, dark forces, and multidimensional being forces.
Okay.
As well as the rest of the 2,300 separate races that said, oh, this is the last inning, everyone's getting in. Everyone's getting their playtime before the quarantine's enforced.
Okay,
They all knew it was coming.
So the quarantine hadn't happened yet.
Well, it had been happening in sections,
Uh-huh.
but every time you teleport it, you got to find it again and re-quarantine it.
Ah, okay.
This is where the last of the teleportations come in.
Oh, okay. So
The whole solar system is teleported, not just the Earth at this point.
really,
Yeah,
the whole solar system.
all the beings are migrating.
Right.
So if you move the whole solar system, the migration's got to make a U-turn and go somewhere else. It was all about stopping these mass migrations, so the only way you can do that is moving the planet or the whole solar system.
Ah, so then you've got migrating souls going la-di-da-di-da. Whoops, where is it?
I got a map.
It's gone. It's funny.
Gone. Exactly.
Okay, and then it's teleported to just wherever.
Far away.
Far away in a
far
distant
away.
land. Okay.
It'll take forever to figure out where it is, and then you got to get there.
And you have to be able to trace the energy signatures at some point. So
This is where the Arcturian Collective begins its mass investment into Earth with master avatars that are in full connection to multiple collectives. Because they knew the quarantine was coming and that domination control was going to take place, and they needed to have that DNA in the mass quantities of DNA that we're interbreeding with. So even if the negative beings would get Arcturian technology out of the skin suit, it was all right because the many thousands of years in the advance would also have the advantage of the Arcturian collective technology built inside your skin suit, as well as the Pleiadian, the Sirian, the Greys, the Zay, all of them.
okay, so in other words, there, as I'm interpreting this, there would be a way to
Implant your collective into the DNA.
Right.
So if a soul from your collective was in a skin suit that had the codes you were looking for, you could bypass the forgetting mechanism of being born in here and have access to your collective information in union with the Earth sentience.
Is that happening to a lot of people today?
Yes, that's why people are being activated and having sudden communications. They're not channelers, they're remote experiencers.
And does this have anything at all to do with the incarnation of the various indigos and crystals?
Exactly.
It does? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
they
that
kept ratcheting up the skill level and the skill level, so that they could come through and have a higher probability of success.
So what's next on the rollout?
Just miracle kids.
Miracle kids, right? That come out and they're glowing and everybody's healed in the room. And
Not that fast, but it does get to that point.
Does it? Yeah, it seems like that would be a natural progression, and that there would be an ability to become luminescent and.
Well, perceptive is luminescence. Our perceptions change. Our bodies don't necessarily luminesce unless you create that effect. And that Bible luminescence where you see a lot of the pictures where they got the halo and that was them trying to describe that's a multidimensional being that when you talk to me, you understand when you've been the last couple of days you've been around me, you see the average human me, and then you see me in no time in instantaneous response and question and answer.
Yes, yeah, and it is a different experience. It's not. Well, I was going to say it's not dramatic because you're always a continuity, and I see the compassionate healer. And the person who does readings and the person who feels, and I see the multidimensionality of you, And the more I see of their various aspects, the more deeply moving it is for me to be around you.
Thank you.
And I suppose that's one of the, I know I'm diverting off this topic briefly, but that's one of the pluses and pitfalls, that when people begin to recognize the truth and the feeling behind you, there will be many who want to be with you, spend time with you, ask you questions, and so on and so forth. So do you have a way to deal with the explosion of interest in you as a
The multi-dimensional me does,
yeah
and the me that's not always in contact with the multi-dimensional, because I don't need to know everything.
Right,
In fact, I don't
right,
want to,
right.
because it's too much.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah,
It's just too much at times.
yeah.
Turning
yeah.
the skill on is a skill.
Yes.
Remaining in the field is a skill.
Yes.
Doing what I do is my passion while I'm using that skill.
Right.
And that passion is to give everyone the heart sense truth from the Akashic record, and allow their tools of discernment to let the energies filter through.
Mm-hmm.
So the detractors will be the detractors. I'll give them no energy, and the only energy they've received is those that are in defensive detraction. In situations where people are coming to me for readings, right now there's several people outside waiting for readings, and I already did enough readings for this weekend. I cannot do any more
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to complete this project.
Right.
So yes, unfortunately, I do have to make that physical choice when to stop and to turn it off.
Yeah.
When I get back, there'll be several hundred Skype messages waiting for me, several hundred emails. I get 200 to 300 emails a day now. Before these last shows went viral,
Right.
so you can only imagine the volume of people that are trying to communicate to me. And I get these messages in Skype that are like 30 pages long, my entire life story,
Wow.
because they know they can't get a hold of me, but just writing that and sending that to my energy completes something for them.
Right. Which is something that our shamans teach us that we can do, is writing it down
Exactly.
and then burning it. It doesn't even have to go to anybody, as long as you have acknowledged yourself and your own
Correct.
story. So, okay, well that helps me to answer that question. So
I'm just a person like everyone else.
right.
I'm choosing to do this,
Yeah.
and you're choosing to do this because
Right.
it feels right.
Right.
David's here doing
Right.
this, and everyone else here is doing this because this is our time of sovereign free will and expressing soul family will. That we
Right.
don't want to live like this anymore.
Right. We have had it.
Had it.
We have
And
had it.
here's what they've done to make us say I've had it.
Right. Right. And if anybody who doesn't get it needs to listen to what they've done, so they can reach the point where their spiritual anger and hackles rise to the point where they say, "Oh my God,
Yeah, enough's enough.
that's it, no more."
Put on the gloves and the boots and the shovels and the picks and start digging into
I'm
it.
pulling the plug on the
Yeah.
banking system, pulling my money out of the bank, whatever.
Mhm.
I'm not giving any energy to anything that has to do with the tools of domination and control.
Mhm.
And that is pretty much everything on the planet.
Mhm.
All the marketing and everything. Okay. So, so the ninth pyramid fortification was the last one.
The
when
last of
Atlantis
the sentients of Atlantis that ultimately knew there was a corruptive force in their incarnation pattern that they could never prevent. That no matter what they did, the volume that was there, no matter what time wars they did, there was no chance for them to go back to the beginning and change it. So the only other choice was to go to the end.
Right, and the end is
Now.
now.
2011 to 2014.
14.
This is where all of the 2,300 species that have been doing time wars is manifesting everything that they're doing because they realized they couldn't go back to the beginning and change it, so they had to invest into the future or layers into the future. So all of their propaganda, technology, spirituality stuff all popped up just before the awakening, just before Earth pops out of the densest part and into the lighter part with the rest of the solar system.
Now that has to do, that also has to do with Mars.
Correct.
Earth and Mars are part of the consciousness of Earth.
Yep.
And so we are the ones who are raising our consciousness. And so depending on how that occurs, whether we become less conscious as a collective or more conscious, determines which one enters first into the higher field, which is
Correct.
Earth or Mars.
So a little slight thing here.
Okay.
Mars is a planet. The sentience of Mars is essentially in a coma.
Oh,
I've talked about this in another show a few times. I don't really talk about it a lot, but Mars was essentially dead, and then it was teleported into the Galactic Ascension machine, and all the people on it were sent to triage planets to be healed, and then souls went into Mars to bring the planet from death state to suspended animation state, and then all the people that were in triage centers were brought back and turned into planetary healers and took the contracts of the planet over because the planet was a mass technological system that spread defensive tools of domination and control, weapon tools of domination and control. Then it was captured and light forces created light tools, light healing technologies. So the planet was very central in the spreading of domination and control and healing technologies. So it was a central piece of the dramatic lines of puzzles that they needed people to incarnate here. If Mars was out of the puzzle, as much as 40% of the migration forces would go somewhere else. That's how vital Mars is. So when Earth comes out, if we heal right, we heal Mars. Mars comes back to life as a sentience and completes this process faster.
okay.
If not, Earth comes out and Mars, the sentience, will determine if it dies off and if the Prime Creator has a walk-in sentience to Mars. And then the people on Mars alive right now, they won't die. They'll be given new contractual obligations in a more free way to get rid of the karma of the drama there.
So is there an advantageous is there an advantage for one or the other to?
Yes, if Earth and Mars go collectively,
Yeah.
then there is a great healing, and a lot of the war dealings get dealt with right away. That war
Okay.
karma gets eliminated out of our consciousness and healed much faster.
So then it would appear on Earth as if all wars stop and something would be.
There would be a series of synchronistic events
Okay.
that bring the war hawks, the chicken hawks, to their knees
Oh.
in psychic form,
Okay.
and they would no longer be attached to that zealot tangent
Oh, nice.
because their field of
Nice.
energy doesn't exist for them to be in that zealot tangent anymore.
Nice. Well, in any case, that will be part of the eventuality. That will
Correct.
be, yeah. So no matter how it works out, it's a matter of timing, and we don't know yet how the level of consciousness will proceed
Correct.
because there are so many players throwing their last cards out, and who knows? Is it possible for these players at the card table to have cards hidden? But
All of them have royal flushes right now.
wow.
Who wins and everyone has royal flushes? The dealer.
Oh. And who was that?
Earth.
Earth. Oh, all right. So,
She gets to go her sentience. They're playing with just the graduating timeline, and yeah, they're screwing with Earth, putting saddles on her, attacking her, and stopping her from doing what she can do. But when we awaken, she awakens even 1,000-fold, and the system of domination and control is just hairs to them.
Oh.
To her. So
so
they can be plucked off or colored or whatever they want.
if she was fully sentient right now,
She could make all the dark eyes pink, sparkly, unicorn-looking things.
Oh my God!
No fear anymore.
Wow. So when she is released from her slavery and imprisonment, which is also ours, which we
Correct.
share, then we're all
She's enslaved until we are enslaved.
until we are,
If we're enslaved, she's enslaved.
right? And if she is,
We are. So
Okay.
if one gets free, they're all free.
Well, free. So, but
And
it's not likely that we would be freed first.
That's how the unity consciousness bombs were created.
Okay, the unity consciousness bombs.
These are devices that were created during the Atlantean times, the second fall of Atlantis,
Okay.
to be weapon systems that were spread out into the mass clusters of systems of domination and control that we implanted on these surface.
Okay.
They're crystalline subjects that had unity consciousness among them, and they would broadcast 5 or 6 seconds of intense unity consciousness with the planet, which allowed people to have a moment of infinite to break the system of domination and control to wake up the planet or the people,
Wow.
and therefore they could form their own rebellion from that brief moment of infinity.
And in infinity, you have all time, you have everything.
You have all the skills, all the time, all the energy.
Yeah, you can just take your time, and that's why the graduation party can last as long as you want.
Correct.
Because we're in infinite no time.
Correct.
We're truly infinite beings of
Correct.
light at that point.
Correct.
That have our 2200.
By being so related to Earth, you're an infinite being.
Right. And will we be able to have access to that wonderful skin suit that she created originally?
We'll have even better.
Better. Oh,
Even
wow.
better.
Wow.
Even better.
Wow. Oh, I can't wait. Yahoo! Now, there's a couple of questions that popped up. One is, there's been a lot of speculation about the octahedron, or the I think it's a geometric shape on Saturn that spins around, and the rings of Saturn being artificial. What is Saturn? I mean, are those rings?
Those are rings.
What are they?
They're a way to store souls in cold storage.
Oh,
Very low density, very low experience, and there are constant barracks reserve of troops that are used as a defense or attack force for invading planet ships coming in or going out.
so
It's a weapons system, but it's a
Yeah.
sentient planet. But at the same time, it has a consciousness in it that isn't the best guy. You spoke to yeah, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
the Lord of Darkness.
Correct.
Yeah, he's the one ring holder, or the one that wants to hold all the rings.
You and George have talked about him, Catsavalis.
Oh yes. Yeah, very interesting. And then
And he's here in the game too. He wants the Earth Galactic Ascension machine.
Saturn.
Yeah.
So,
And then some of the other ones do too. If
yeah.
Mars were
Oh,
ever,
right.
Mars would ever wake up, Saturn and Mars would be not happy.
Right.
If he ever woke up out of his coma, it would be gloves off, 50-round bloody boxing match.
It wouldn't be much fun.
I would like to sit and watch popcorn and watch
Oh,
those two
well,
battle
yes.
it out and say goodbye, get out of our solar system, and don't come back.
Right.
Hear me? Don't come back.
Yeah, never.
We don't want you. You're pink slipped.
Exactly. So, so no matter how you slice it, we win. Everyone wins, and then all of this, all of the control systems are removed. The archons are removed. The incarnation, we graduate, and then finally there can be some movement with the.
All that blossoms in a omnidirectional linear expansion based on how fast the consciousness of our planet grows and grows and grows and grows and grows.
And once she's released, it seems like she has infinite possibilities.
To heal us so our consciousness raises faster so she can raise her consciousness at the same time.
Right. See that, folks?
I think Saturn got
Saturn
mad. Saturn got mad.
took a poke at us. Saturn took a poke. Are we? Well, we'll continue. And
Leave that
and there's
in.
and Mars is Mars is there with
The big angry
bringing the
bee.
bees. Yeah, sending in the bee people. Okay, so see, you got a wonderful demonstration of how these things work. It's both as above and below, and metaphoric, and right here in your own reality.
That's right.
So as you're sitting in your rooms, watching YouTube, if something happens around you, a window breaks, a bird flies into
Door goes open.
Yeah, there are no accidents.
None.
We are in total synchronicity, and when you're in no time, everything is synchronous. It's just a
Absolutely.
matter of being aware of it.
You're so right.
Okay, so one of the questions I wanted to get in case I don't get a chance to ask it today, is about the pyramids and the Sphinx and the Edgar Cayce material, that there's an underground paw and blah 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 blah, that the pyramids actually are a ship, and that the Illuminati tried to put a capstone on the pyramid recently, right?
The pyramid is a ship,
Okay,
as I described earlier.
right.
Even the stone ones
Even
are a
the
ship.
stone ones are ships,
Okay.
and they're multidimensional.
And then they're multidimensional.
And they're etheric.
And they're etheric.
Okay.
The Sphinx is the same thing. It's just built in a different field.
Oh.
It has a different kind of omnidirectional field.
Oh.
And its actual purpose, well, me scale this down a second. You have the first installations of dominant control religion, but it still allows consciousness expansion, and you still have at least half of the user manual to your body when this was created. They didn't take away the whole user manual.
Okay.
So the Sphinx was a place where priests and priestesses of high energy, both light and dark, could go to commune with the earth source or any other planetary sentient source that would give knowledge and wisdom to both light and dark sides. There was this, best way to describe it, certain spots of earth where both light and dark could come and not fight each other. The land was set up where they would just debate, learn, find a way to come together. And the zealot ones would just stay away at that point. So there was always something, and you still had members of the neutral force there that could come in and moderate, like the Venusian philosophers that would come in and moderate and broadcast these things. And the Sphinx would be used as this central source so that both light and dark priestess can commune to the same source and get the same answers while looking at each other and see the synchronicities there. At the same time, the Sphinx would store wisdom and knowledge within the stone structure of all the decisions that were made during these debates, and it would record all of the light and dark debates. So if anybody wanted to come to it, at the base of the pyramids, which were consciousness expansion devices, you have this consciousness to storage teaching machine. As for Edgar Casey's thing under the foot, it's a metaphor, but it is there inside the Sphinx, and you need to learn how to read the records of that Sphinx. And there are other Sphinx that store other records for other purposes, for other factions in that time frame. The Mayans and the Aztecs and the Toltecs had their own versions too. The people of Easter Island, the people of Japan, China, they had all their own versions of these knowledge storing devices. They're all over.
And many of them are still intact, and
but many of them are in polarity, not in neutrality. Some are in neutrality, which are essentially copies of the Akashic record. Some are a polarity of light and dark, and some are an in-between interpretation.
All right. What about this? What about what's Jupiter's role in all this? Should I ask a loaded question?
You asked a really loaded question. Let me give this answer a second here.
Okay, take your time. We're in no time.
Jupiter is a joker in the deck.
Really?
It can bring whatever it wants to bring and break rules.
Ooh.
And it has an ego. And it has many children planets that are waiting to come in and take over the other 66 planets' roles. So, in one sense, it's a dominant controlling force, passive dominant control. It's not as aggressive as what we have here.
Right.
It's still a dominant controlling force, but it comes from another universe that allowed limited free will. And it's trying to bring in enforce this concept of limited free will into the Galactic Ascension machine, which isn't a bad thing. But at the same time, now it's recraving our total sovereignty, and total sovereignty doesn't align with limited control.
Right. Because Earth was created as a free will planet with both light and dark.
And neutral.
And what's happened is the dark has outmaneuvered
everything.
Everything.
Well, the multidimensional beings, which are technically dark, but they're all three, and they allow themselves to be all three, so they could play the game of all three to win at the end, to be prime creators.
Okay. How do they win? By
getting one of their pieces parts to prove something that was impossible to all the other sentients of the universe, and say, I did it, and here's the middle finger. And now I'm going to go out and conquer each and every one of your galaxies and give you the middle finger again and again and again until you stop me.
Wow, it doesn't seem like a very positive outcome.
That's why we have a prime creator who come in and did walk-ins and timeouts and ejections. Somebody started cheating.
The prime creator.
Well,
no, they were cheaters.
Yeah.
Prime creator simply was rebalancing
the rules.
Right,
exactly.
But not really a hard reinforcement, and more like soft,
a 15-yard penalty.
Right, like, okay, hold on.
Personal foul, you're ejected, 15-yard penalty.
Seems awfully gracious to me. I would have just
They're
slack
interlocked all the time, where so you can't take one out, and they purposely
Right.
entwine themselves
That's
to our soul
right.
families,
That's right.
so you couldn't just erase them.
That's right. Okay. Okay, so I think, are we coming up to, yes, we are coming up to, well, that flew by, like the bee and the flying lights. So that's the end of part 20, and
Very good. We're
we'll,
looking forward to do many, many more. of
many,
these.
many more, right. There's infinite time for us to share this information and have fun with it. Because this is our time to have fun.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. This is the end of part 20.